How do you build successful products efficiently? You can think like Steve Jobs did at Apple or like Mark Zuckerberg taught at Facebook. And spoiler alert, you need to learn from both of them. Stick around for this discussion on how to build successful products with the minimum amount of investments. This is Careers Cast, a podcast for students and early career professionals who want to develop a successful and meaningful long-term career in technology. I'm your host, Marcio Saito. Welcome to this episode of Careers Cast. Today, we are going to talk about some of the things I learned in product management, being an entrepreneur, and developing successful products. When you are developing a product, right, there is one approach, which is what I call the top-down approach to product development. You understand the market, you understand technology, you understand the customer base, and you can, inside your head, right, come up with a concept that defines a product that predicts the future, right? Technology is going that way, customer needs are evolving this way, and time is here, and I know in 6 months, right, the market, the customers are gonna need that, and I'm gonna build that, make it perfect the first time, and sell it to the customers. Though it is not 100% the way Apple works, right? When you read about Steve Jobs and the culture of development, product development, the institute at Apple, he's described that way, right? Steve Jobs is described as this product genius who says, I understand customer needs before the customers do, and I can build a product, right? I can develop the concept of a product and then mobilize the resources to go after that development, and we are going to build it perfect the first time, and we're going to be successful out of the gate, and the product is going to be everything we imagine, and customers will buy it and give us a lot of money for them, right? And of course, Apple does not operate like that, right? They follow product management practices, they validate their assumptions as well. But as a philosophical bias, right, Steve Jobs seems to have thought that way, right? I can idealize the concept of a product without, just by synthesis, right, of experience, knowledge, observation, rather than asking customers what they want, right? And of course, if you're successful doing that, you can do everything very effectively, right? You do it once and you do it perfect and very efficiently, which in theory, right, is the best way to develop a product. And of course, that doesn't work because a lot of people spend a lot of time building products that only exist in their minds. And when they launch the product, they realize nobody wants it, right? Or the project concept is wrong, and I wasted a lot of time and resources building something that I cannot sell. And then there is another way of seeing things in product development, which is what I call the bottoms up approach to product development, right? And in this approach, you don't do anything, you don't build anything before you validate that that thing will be needed to build a successful product. And to make things simple, I'm gonna give an extreme example so you understand what the extreme of that thinking is, right? So let's say you are wondering if there is market for an app that does travel planning using AI, for example, right? So instead of hiring engineers, building prototypes, building product, right, and spending time building product, you take $10,000, you buy Facebook ads, and you publish ads saying, I have a solution for travel planning using AI, right? And if you do that and you run the ads and nobody clicks on the ads, there is no point in you building anything, right? If nobody's, you're promising a solution for travel planning using AI, nobody's clicking on that. If you build a product, nobody's gonna buy it, right? So you need to work and figure out why is it that people are not clicking on the ad. And eventually, let's say you found it, right? It was the messaging was wrong. You change the messaging, and then suddenly the click rate is very high, right? And a lot of people are clicking on the ad. And then what do you do next? You go build a product because you found there is interest. No, right? You validated the next step. You create a mock landing page. So when people click on the ad, they land on this page. You then provide a more detailed view of the product, right? You say, this is the magic we do, this is how it works, it's amazing. click here, right? And nobody clicks there. So there is interest, people are clicking on the ad, they arrive to your landing page, you make the promise, nobody click, right? Which means there is something wrong with your message, right? And then you tune it, you fix it, and you get a large number of the users to start clicking here. And then you say, you go build a product? Not yet, right? You need to validate the next step. Is the customer really committed, right? Is the user willing to pay money for this product, right? And that's, we need to validate that. So how do you do that? You say, when the users click here, you say, well, in order to open the account, enter your email address. And if everyone goes away, it means people are not interested enough. They're not committed, right, to getting a solution or curious enough. So you have to, again, tune your approach, right? Change the way you promise things. People click here, they provide the email address, and then you say, to sign up, enter your credit card number, and then everyone goes away. Okay, people are interested, they want a solution, but they're not willing to pay anything for it, right? And then you change, you get to the point where people start entering their credit card, and then that's the time, okay, now I need to build a prototype, right? And do some development so that I start validating. And you can go like that, right, until you develop a successful product. This is very appealing to the logical mind because you're not wasting any time or effort doing something that is not going to work, right? And you're validating step by step. And if you follow this method, you should get to a point, right? Either where you gave up or you have a successful product with minimal amount of effort wasted in things that will not work. And again, it's very appealing, but it's very slow and it's very reactive and it's very difficult to create anything new, right? If you're not willing to risk, right, a guess, and you have to validate everything before you take every step. So though it is very appealing to logic, building products like that tend to be very slow, and someone else is gonna be bolder and they're gonna build a product without going through all this validation, and they're gonna be faster than you, right? And you're not gonna be successful. So we have the top-down approach to product development. We have the bottoms-up approach of product development. What I learned, right, is that it is not one or the other, and it is not compromising and combining both approaches, right? It is a concept of duality, right? You need to think two things at the same time that are contradictory to each other. So what I learned is that the most successful entrepreneurs, the most successful product managers, they are able to switch and oscillate between the two polar extremes, right? Where they have the confidence, they have the knowledge of the user, they have the knowledge of the market, they have the knowledge of the technology capabilities, and they have the confidence, right, to idealize a concept inside their heads and feel confident that that's a good product, right? You need that ability to develop vision and convince people around you that that vision is a good vision. Every entrepreneur, every successful product manager needs that ability. And then once you decide to do something, right, it is always better, right, and it's always smarter, right, for you to validate one step before you spend too much money taking a next step, right? And if you don't do that, you're going to run out of money, or you're going to spend a lot of time going the wrong direction, and you have to make big pivots, right, across the history of the company. So it is not about combining the two approaches, but it's about executing the two approaches at the same time, right? Having the confidence to build products in your head, and having the discipline to validate every step along the way. And so I'm sure if you're an entrepreneur, you read Lean Startup, or you heard about Lean Startup, you watch videos on YouTube. If you're a product manager, a product developer, I'm sure you use Agile methodologies, you learn Scrum, and you learn how to do estimates of story points and things like that, right? But most of the content, both in Lean, in the context of startups, and Agile in the context of product development, there is a lot of focus on the process itself. And my argument, which is what I'm trying to convey to you, is you need to understand the basic concept, right? Which is top down, bottoms up. I need to do both, right? It's not about combining the two approaches. And if you do that, you're going to be more successful implementing the process. And I think the big challenge in the market today, a lot of people get into the process, right? Oh, I understand. We need to iterate. We need to validate things before we build, or oh, we need to have vision, right? It is, if you go into the process without understanding the need to do both, what ends up happening is you end up in the middle, and the middle is not good, right? If you're not able to build product vision and you don't validate things properly, right, you're gonna fail most of the time. So the message again is you need to understand that basic concept, and then you're prepared to go to study, understand very useful framework, lean startup, very useful framework, agile product development. But you need to understand that basic concept first. If you go into the process without that, you end up in the middle, and I don't want you to be in the middle. If this discussion was useful to you, please subscribe and share. And see you developing products in the next episode. Bye.